Hello, and welcome to part two of our literature review journey. In part one, you gathered and you organized your scholarly sources. Now it is time to transform that research into a compelling, cohesive, and analytical chapter two. So in this video, we will start with part two. We will focus more on the topic of the future of AI and the accounting profession. So I will give examples from this topic so you get a clear understanding on how you should write chapter two. Also, if you have time, visit my YouTube channel where I do have videos on this topic. So let's get started. Again, this video will cover examples on the topic, on the research topic, the future of AI and the accounting profession. The objectives of Chapter 2 are complete a full Chapter 2 draft with all themes integrated. You're going to learn how to analyze and synthesize scholarly literature. Also, connect the literature to your research problem, your research purpose, and theoretical or conceptual framework. So you want to begin chapter 2 with an introduction paragraph. Now, this section should be brief. You should state the purpose of the chapter. For example, the purpose of this chapter is to examine scholarly literature related to the integration and future of artificial intelligence, AI, in the accounting profession. That's just an example, okay? Also, you're going to explain how the chapter is organized. Here's an example. This review is organized around four major themes: automation of routine tasks, impact on audit quality, ethical considerations, and changes in required accounting competencies. And three, you're going to mention the total number of themes. Make sure you keep it clear and concise. Another example, the review draws upon over 15 peer-reviewed sources organized into four thematic categories. That's just an example. Okay, so here you see example themes for AI in accounting. You have the evolution of AI technologies in accounting, benefits and risk of AI adoption, AI's impact on job roles and ethics, educational and skill gaps in the accounting workforce. Now, this is just sample themes, another sample themes for AI in accounting. All right, so in this video, in this slide that you see here is theme one. It's an example of how you will actually write chapter two. Okay, so theme one is automation of routine tasks. So this theme discusses how AI automates tasks such as data entry, transaction matching, and bank reconciliations. You're going to compare and contrast. An example is what you see here. According to Smith, you would have the year. AI technologies can reduce time spent on data entry by 60%, while Johnson and Lee, you'll have the year 2019, argue that automation is more effective when integrated with human oversight. So you see where you're comparing and you're contrasting. The other is identify trends and gaps. Most studies agree that automation enhances efficiency, but there is limited research on small firm adoption. Here you're identifying trends and gaps. And here, support your study. Here's a sentence. An example, understanding automation's capabilities supports the study's aim to assess AI readiness in mid-size accounting firms. Again, I want to highlight that these are just examples of how you would write your themes. And this is just a theme one for the topic when I'm talking about AI in the accounting profession. Now, theme two is AI's impact on audit quality. So this could be used as a subheading or a heading. It depends on your research. So AI tools such as machine learning and anomaly detection are changing audit methodologies. So you're going to use multiple sources. Here's an example. Brown 2021 and Silva 2020 found that AI increases the detection of outliers, yet auditors still struggle to interpret AI-driven results. In a compare and contrast finding, your statement could be like, while both authors acknowledge improved detection, Silva raises, and here Silva should have a year after it, okay? Raises concerns about interpretive errors. And how are you going to tie it to your theoretical framework? Here in this example, the agency theory is being used. So you could write a sentence like the agency theory underpins this study, highlighting how AI enhances transparency and reduces information asymmetry in auditing. Theme three, you have your ethical considerations. Now, AI introduces ethical dilemmas around bias, transparency, and job placement. An example where you would compare, you would say something like Taylor with the year warns about algorithmic biases in fraud detection, whereas Grant, another published author or researcher, 2022, emphasizes the lack of regulatory oversight. So I want you to make sure that you see where you're actually comparing, okay? Trends and disagreements. A growing concern is accountability when AI systems make erroneous decisions. How are you going to connect this back to your research? You could say something like, this theme informs the study's focus on ethical training in accounting education programs. In my theme four, I have changing competencies for accountants. AI is reshaping the skills accounting professionals need. Okay, here I would have my source integration. Nigel with a year highlights the demand for tech-savvy accountants, while Patel 2021 suggests curricula remain largely unchanged. In your literature review, you can mention gaps in research. An example here is little empirical evidence exists on how quickly firms are adopting training programs. And the relevance here would be that this literature supports the need to investigate academic preparedness for future accountants. All right, so once you have all that taken care of, you want to end your literature review with a strong conclusion that one summarizes key points. You can use a statement or a sentence like, the literature shows that AI is transforming accounting through automation, enhanced audits, ethical challenges, and evolving competencies. You want to also identify gaps in research. An example of a sentence, however, few studies examine how mid-sized firms and educational institutions are responding to these changes. And also, in your conclusion, you want to transition to chapter 3, which is the methodology. These gaps justify the current study, which will use qualitative interviews to explore AI integration strategies in accounting practices. Again, you want to connect your literature to your study. At the end of each theme, you want to explain how it informs your study, how it relates back to your research questions, how it ties into your conceptual or theoretical framework. An example here is this theme highlights the lack of AI training in accounting education, which supports the study's goal of assessing academic readiness. Again, writing the conclusion, you want to summarize key points from each theme. You're going to identify gaps in research that justify your study, and you want to transition to chapter 3, the methodology. APA formatting reminders. Don't forget formatting. Make sure your double spacing, 12 points times New Roman, 1-inch margin. In-text citations throughout. Make sure you have in-text citations. Use level 2 and 3 headings for sub-themes. And you want to include a reference list, and it has to be an APA 6th or 7th edition format. Please refer to an APA manual if you're not sure how to cite. Also, there are guidelines that you can check online, free, of course, how to write your references, how to use citations. One other thing I want to mention, your final submission of chapter 2 should be between 5 to 6 pages, double space, 3 to 5 sources per theme. You want to synthesize and connect to your study, update reference list, and you want to make sure you have a clear transition between your themes. And remember, your literature review is not just a summary, it's your academic voice showing how your study fits into the scholarly conversation. Remember, you got this. Keep analyzing, keep connecting, and trust the process. So next up, I will have a short video on how to write chapter 3, which is the research methodology. Thank you for watching. Until next time.